It's pie season, and as somebody that's not trained as a pastry chef, this is something that comes usually difficult for me to, well, it's traditionally been difficult for me to get a recipe and follow each step, measure each ingredient precisely or as precisely as possible and weigh everything. I just kind of like to let go and go with the flow. But in more recent years, I've been liking the flow, the workflow of putting something together with an oven and measured ingredients. Most times you know what you're getting if you're doing everything right and following things step by step. And one thing that kept me from working on pies and baking cakes and things like that is it's messy. It does get messy, but I feel like if you have a method to cleaning things, as you saw, I was scooping something with what they call I was scooping the apples with something that they call a bench scraper. And so that makes cleanup a lot easier. And what I did for this apple pie was I made a sauce in the beginning with sugar, butter, and some flour, and then just tossed it in some raw apples. And traditionally, I've never been taught to make apple pie like this. I was always taught to just cook the apples ahead of time, bake the pie crust ahead of time, and then put everything together with the topping, a raw pie crust on top, and then throw that in the oven and then finish baking the crust, the top crust, the cover, in the oven. And so this is something that I did differently. I separated the pie crust that I made before making the pie filling in half. And so this half that I'm working on right now is going to be the bottom, and this is the part that I'm going to bake ahead of time in the oven. One thing that I find really cool about pies is it makes you actually look like an expert when you're really not, because it's very forgiving. And I am not a pie expert, but I love apple pie. And yeah, so one thing that's really forgiving here is apple pie, or pie crust, not the apple pie in general. You have to do all the steps right, of course, but here is where I did something wrong. I did not flour my work surface enough, and so as such, I have to work with scraping things off with a little bit more effort, which is no big deal because it's a pie crust and it's a lot more forgiving. And as you can see here, it sticks a little bit more. And so as I'm getting it off the rolling pin and getting it onto my pie tin, or in this case, pie plate, I just roll it off and plug in all of the parts that I didn't fill out with all the excess pie crust that drapes over the edge. And if you have any crust that drapes over the edge, no big deal. I find crust to be one of the favorite parts of the pie, especially when you put a lot of butter and a little bit of sugar. It makes it for like a really crackly crust, and you can just fold it over like this if you have excess crust. Make sure you poke your holes so when you par bake your pie crust, it doesn't fluff up on you and it settles back down. And if you don't do that, you'll have some air holes that will puff up like a pizza, the pizza edges. And what I'm using here is just basic dried beans. I've seen some professional kitchens use pennies or pebbles, washed pebbles, of course, and pennies. And then you put in the oven, and then once it goes for about 10 to 15 minutes, you remove the beans and then brown the crust. All right, now what am I doing here? This is the top to the pie. The top to the pie is, you could either choose to do it like this and go directly over the filling, or I tried to be a little bit more ambitious and do one of those weaved things on top of a pie, which is something that I've never done before. This is the first time I've ever done it, and I saw some tutorials on YouTube, which is kind of the magic of cooking these days, is where normally you would have cookbooks to just reference from. Now you have YouTube and so many other resources to help you out and make you pro looking. So here I'm laying down, I don't even know what you call it. I'll just call it like a dough basket on top of the pie. And what's cool is if you're going to do something like this where you don't cook the apples at first, it gives a little bit of venting for when the moisture comes out of the apples, so you don't get left with some like soupy mess inside of your pie. And so I'm going every other, folding it back, laying it down, and doing that as follows. As you can see on the bottom, the par baked pie crust, which is just golden brown, and this is going to go into the oven around 425 for about 15 minutes until the top is just browned. I don't have a brush. You got to use what you got sometimes. So what I only had at that time is my hands. And so you'll always have your hands. I don't have any machine, as you could see, any fancy machine. I just used a wooden spoon to make the pie crust. And I'm laying down the egg wash to get that nice shine when it comes out of the oven. And here it is. After 15 minutes of browning, you turn it down to 350 for 45 minutes, and that should cook the rest of your pie down very nicely. Look at it, it's like nicely carameled inside. I think it turned out great. It was really crispy and crunchy, as you might be able to hear in the video. And I was really happy with it. It didn't turn out that sweet. I think because if you want to eat apple pie, the best way to go is a la mode. And so you're not going too crazy with the sugar intake. This pie is not that sweet. Most of the sugar will come from your ice cream. And here it is. I think it was a success after 1 hour of rest, so it's not like molten hot lava. You can go a la mode, or you can go, and I'm going to hear boos in the background. Some of you are probably booing. I'm going to go with milk to cut my losses short. And as you can see, while you're filming and trying to pour milk, it doesn't mix.
God
so I don't recommend doing that.
She just asked me.
And there you have it. Have a slice of pie. I'm going to go have some with this organic free range glass of milk. Thanks everybody for watching.